Hello, now this is going to be a little bit of a different video. It's in reaction to something that I saw on YouTube yesterday. Now I don't know whether this was aimed at me or other YouTubers out there saying the same thing, but it could cause a little bit of a beef, unseen since the likes of Tupac and Biggie, or Blur and Oasis, or if you're from the 70s, which will be relevant in a minute, I don't know, the Bay City Rollers and the Monkeys. I don't know, I wasn't really around then. This happened yesterday. A customer of mine phoned me up to talk about one of the videos that I'd done earlier, and he had a few comments on it which I really enjoyed, and that was great. But then he said, oh, I saw another video on YouTube yesterday and he doesn't like you very much, does he? And I said, well, what do you mean? I hadn't seen anything, I didn't know anything. Then this video popped up on my feed a little bit later, and I did see, I think, what he was commenting on. Now I don't know whether it was actually aimed at me or other YouTubers or anything like that, because I'm only a small little channel, and I don't think that many, well, there's a lot of people who have watched it, actually, judging by the comments, so maybe I'm doing myself a bit of an injustice, but also I don't want to presume that it is anything to do with me. But what the customer said, he thought it was to do with me, so therefore I'm going to comment on it. And whether it is, I might look silly if the guy goes, well, I've never heard of the fella, but then that's just what's going to happen, isn't it? So yeah, I watched the video, and there was a few kind of accusations levelled at me and maybe some of the other YouTubers that are out there, saying similar things to what I'm saying. But I don't think there is anyone else out there saying similar things to what I'm saying. That's why I did the videos. I tend to research if anyone said anything about the content that I'm going to be talking about. And if they haven't, I'll do a video. If they have, then I said, well, it's been said, so there's no point in me doing a video. I don't want to waste my time and rehash over old content, which will be relevant again in a minute. The first accusation was that maybe myself, like I said, I don't know if it is me, and other YouTubers are clickbaiting. Now, clickbaiting is fairly specific as something that does happen online, but I don't think it applies to what I've been doing. Now, clickbaiting, I'll read the thing. It says a text or a thumbnail link that is designed to attract attention to entice users to follow the link. I'll talk about that in a second. And listen to a link, piece of online content that is typically deceptive, sensationalized, or otherwise misleading. That's clickbait. So you have a title and it gets you to click it because they get paid per click, which doesn't happen in YouTube. Well, it does happen in YouTube, but not for my silly little channel. So yeah, that's what clickbaiting is. They get you to click on it, so they get their penny a click, and then you look at the content and it's completely irrelevant to what it says it was going to be. That's the issue I have with that, because judging by the comments that I've been getting, and the fact that I feel like this is why I do these videos, the link and the title, and I agree that is crafted to get people to stop scrolling to click on it. So I do agree with that, as that is kind of a clickbait, but that's what YouTube is. There's a whole industry designed around the psychology in thumbnails to get you to stop clicking to look at it. So you have to have something that hooks people into thinking, oh, well, that's interesting, and it has to kind of speak to you. So yes, I agree that the titles that I craft are designed to get you to stop scrolling and click. But yes, so that is one point, but I have to do that, otherwise you just scroll past everything else and click on everything else. Whatever's in your YouTube feed, that's up to you. But then if the content actually backs up what that thumbnail says, then that isn't clickbaiting. I'm not getting you to click and then the content is irrelevant. And again, judging by the comments that I've been getting, I would say it's at the contrary, because the amount of people saying, oh, thank God someone from the industry has kind of put their neck above the line and is talking about this stuff, and it's given you a kind of a vessel to be able to talk about it as well. And again, judging by the length of the comments I've been having, and they're not small, they're quite big, and like I said, I read everyone and try to comment on everyone. Then yeah, I don't think I'm clickbaiting or sensationalizing it. It is a problem we've got at the moment. I do talk about trust and all the other things I've been talking about. I don't think anyone else has been speaking about that online. They might do afterwards when they get kind of pick the thread up and run with it, which is what happens. But up until now, I don't think anyone else has mentioned it. So that's the clickbaiting thing. So I don't think I'm clickbaiting. Again, if it is me. I would be lying if I said that I didn't pick the content to get people to view, because again, that's what we do as YouTubers. You have to have something new that no one has talked about, and so I did think that the content would make good videos and it would get people talking. But that's what I want it to do. I want to get people talking about it, and not just ignoring it and thinking, oh, it will be okay, don't worry about it. Again, I'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, the content can be, and like I said on the videos, it is a bit negative, and I don't like saying all this negative stuff, but there's no point burying your head in the sand and not worrying about it and just ignoring it. We all know that there's problems out there, and it needs someone to kind of bring it out so that you can talk, even if it's through me or through someone else or together, to the manufacturers. They have to listen and all this kind of stuff. So yes, I would agree that the content I'm talking about is designed to get people talking. Again, that's what the whole process is about. The next allegation that was kind of leveled at me or us was that we are taking other people's ideas and kind of rehashing them that you heard 5 minutes ago and putting it back out there just to get clicks and views and likes and subscribers. I think I've just covered that as to why I think that is, because I don't think there was anyone else saying it. In fact, my next video I've got coming up, I did a little bit of a search on, and no one has been talking about this either, and it's a big topic, and it's something that I hear a lot of. And that's the thing behind my videos. I do the videos because I hear about them from people like yourself on forums and on the forecourt and all that kind of thing. So it's driven by my thoughts of me constantly hearing the same thing over and over again, and that's why I put them out there. So the next video I'm going to be doing, and I won't say what it is in case someone else does do it, is I don't think it's been out there, so we'll see what happens when that goes out. There you go. So yeah, that I think addresses the fact that I'm not rehashing other people's content and just remodeling something I heard 5 minutes ago and sticking it out there. I don't think that's what I'm doing. But again, if I'm wrong with any of this, put it in the comments and we'll have a look at it, because I don't want to be that person anyway. So, but I don't think I am. So the next allegation, again, maybe aimed at me, maybe not, is that we're fly by night and we don't know what we're talking about. And to listen to anyone else apart from the person in the video would be silly, because we haven't been around as long as he has. Now, just a bit of a background, if you don't know who I am, I've been in the industry since 1989 when I was cleaning toilets, but you've got to start somewhere. And then I worked myself up from the bottom up, pardon the pun, to running my own dealership and running a workshop and being involved in a workshop. So I don't just run the workshop, I actually, I came up through fixing things for like 10 years before I started doing the sales. I worked for a big company and then decided to do it for myself. And I set up the dealership 15 years ago, which I've been running myself from scratch as well. It wasn't inherited, it wasn't given to me. I did it from scratch. We had a yard and a couple of £1,000, and we started it, and then I got everything I've been able to do today. So I like to think that I'm not fly by night, been here selling for 5 minutes, so therefore I've jumped on and talked about it. But that doesn't even matter, because even if you have been here 5 minutes, if you've got an insight into something, then it's relevant. It is actually completely irrelevant how long you've been doing this. So again, that is the fly by night kind of only been here 5 minutes, what do they know type of thing. Again, I can only speak for myself. But again, it doesn't really matter. I watch other YouTubers videos, and they got some really good points. They might have only just thought of it. It doesn't matter. It's a good point. It's a good point. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the industry. So that's that. So clickbaiting, I don't think I am. Fly-by-nighting, I don't think I am. Rehashing old people's material and just to get clicks and things, I don't think that's the case with any of us, not just me. So another thing mentioned about all of us, apart from the person in the video, is that any person can then grab a video camera and do a video, and what do they know? We're not proper journalists. Now, and I think then an inclination was said to go to the press, and it's still a good idea to buy the magazines and things, and look at the Caravan press. Now, the problem with that is that you're not going to get the Caravan magazine saying that there's a problem with Bailey alley techs and why they're leaking all the time. You're not going to get the press saying how come the Swift sunroofs are cracking and what are they going to be doing about it. They're not going to be talking about the lack of trust that the manufacturers, that the customer has in the manufacturer. And all these things, again, in the comments that I'm receiving, I don't think I'm wrong with that. And it needs to be talked about so we can sort it all out. It needs to come out in the open. You're not going to see that in a Caravan magazine, because if you do, you then turn a page and see a glossy advert for Bailey or Swift that they paid £3,000 or £4,000 to have. They're not going to be very happy if the page before they're saying, you know, where's all the trust gone in the industry? So the fact that we're not maybe proper journalists, and we haven't got the issue of biting the hand that feeds us or any conflict of interest, I think is a good thing. I'm not a proper journalist. I've never been to any of that school or anything like that. I don't really know what I'm talking about from that kind of point of view, but I do know what I'm talking about with caravans, and also I do know what I'm talking about with what I'm hearing from you guys, and that's what I'm kind of, if I'm rehashing anything, it's your opinions, so that I can hold up a mirror to the industry and go, right, look, this is what's happening, what we're going to do about it. So clickbaiting, rehashing old content, not being proper journalists, only been around for 5 minutes, don't think it applies to me and maybe everyone else. So that's the bit that kind of got me a bit riled up, as you could probably tell. And again, I don't want to, I've been debating this with myself, whether to actually do anything on it or to not pay any attention to it. But it would drive me mad, I think, if I didn't. It'd just keep going around in my head. So I kind of got to get it out. Even if I might not even put this video out, I don't know yet. Because there's two sides of me. There's one that goes, "Rrr," and then someone goes, look, chill out, man, don't worry about it. So yeah, I don't know which one of those is going to win. And we'll see. So then there's getting to the actual general point of the video, which actually I agree with some of. Now the general point was that, and this is why I'm doing the video, because it did have a general point which probably I hadn't actually addressed in my previous video. So yeah, that was really good, and that was the point that this has all happened before. And it has. I mean, I think I might have mentioned it because I was around in 2008 when it happened with the banking crisis. I think I have mentioned that. But I wasn't around in the 70s and 80s, which is kind of the crux of the rest of this piece of the video. Now, I don't see the point in going back that far. I think it's completely irrelevant. And finding out how much someone paid for a Caravan back then and what they sold it for, I don't think is relevant, because we are living in a completely different world. That was 40 odd years ago. The kind of people buying caravans and the ability to be able to buy caravans, which I'll get to in a second, was probably different there. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that. It might be interesting to kind of find out whether it was similar back then, because I know back in the 80s there were crashes and there were issues and there were people who couldn't afford things. So maybe actually back then it was similar to the issues we're having now, but I don't know about that. But talking about buying a Caravan in 1970 for tuppence halfpenny and selling it for 2 tuppence halfpenny, I don't know what it is, I don't think is relevant. So that's why I kind of try and keep it relevant. You could go back to 2008 because that is fairly similar. We did have lots of caravans around because people again lost confidence in the market, and that's all it is really. The money's still here. People keep saying, oh, no one's got any money, but they have. They're just keeping hold of it because they're worried about what is going to happen in the future. I think that is the problem. So then when the confidence comes back, that's when people start spending money again. So that is happening now. I think it's relevant to talk about the 70s and 80s, unless you're trying to sell a book on it. But I think it's kind of relevant to talk about the 2008 crash, but it's more relevant to talk about what's going on now, because in the last video I did, I was totally prepared to say, right, the caravans have gone up exponentially in the past 5 or 6 years, and they've kind of done that and then gone like that. That's not what I found out. If you watch the video, actually they've been going up at a fairly constant rate since about 2008 or 9, after that crash. Actually, funny enough, that might tell us something actually, that they've been going up at a constant rate since that time. Now, what's happening now, and I don't think it happened in the 70s and 80s. I don't think it happened in 2008. Our ability to actually, because it didn't, because I started in 2010 here. I was selling caravans before that, and I was selling caravans at kind of £13,000, new, which was within the reach of the working person to be able to afford them or want to spend the money on them. So the difference that's happened now, and this is why this is relevant now, and back in the 80s I think it's completely irrelevant, is that our ability to be able to buy the caravan hasn't gone up at the same rate as the caravans have gone up. Now there was one comment in the comment section of one of the videos which was absolutely spot on. Again, you guys know a lot more about this than I do, and I've learned a hell of a lot about things in the comments. Is that they said that if you track the rate of inflation on the caravan, and if you put that rate of inflation to what we should be earning, we're about 10 grand behind of where we should be with the caravan, or the caravan's 10 grand in front. So you could say they've gone up too much, but they haven't. They've gone up in the same rate, just they should have kind of dipped down to what they should track what we're actually being able to pay for them. That's what the problem is. And that kind of, I thought, actually, that's hit the nail right on the head, because if I was selling a Sprite here for 15,500, I'd still be selling them. That really feels like what they should be worth. They should be costing 15,500 for a new caravan, and then we wouldn't be in the problems that we're in, because they'd be selling like loads. And then a top end would be 21, and then top end would probably be 28, something like that. That's relative, or our wages come up to that, whichever way you look at it, it's all relative, isn't it? So that's been pointed out to me, and that's kind of what I thought, that our ability to be able to buy the products haven't gone up in the same route, but that was, someone actually stating it and saying, yes, that is the case. So the main point raised was, look, this has happened before in the 70s and 80s. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. Now, I don't think that helps much, because if you're trying to sell a caravan now, you do have to worry about it. If you want to cash out of what you've got sat on the drive and you're not using it, then now is the time to worry about it, not 5 or 6 years time when maybe we've got out of this. So again, that was the whole kind of gist of the video, was don't worry about it. We've seen it all before. Well, I've seen it all before, and therefore everything's fine. And from my point of view, everything's great. Now, like I just said, that isn't helpful to you if you're trying to sell a caravan. If you've got money tied up in a firm that has gone into administration, that doesn't help much. If you're trying to buy a caravan and you want to know which one to go for in these kind of times, is it worth putting your money into a certain manufacturer? Are they going to be around for much longer? Which I think they all are. I don't think it's because all they're all owned by big companies which can swallow this kind of bit of a dip for 2 or 3 years. So I don't think that's going to be a problem. But yeah, that was the whole gist of it, is we've seen it all before. There's nothing to see here. Carry on with your lives. Don't worry about it. But like I said, that doesn't help you right here, right now. in the situation that we could be potentially facing. And like I said, this is unprecedented because of the lack of people buying caravans versus the amount of caravans that are out there, and their ability to buy those caravans has been diminished compared to any other time in history, I believe. Like I say, I could be wrong there. It'll be interesting to find out what, you know, if you were around at that time to say, no, actually it was gapped and our wages came up to meet where the caravans are. Now I don't believe that's happened, because that never happens, does it? It's like fuel coming down. It goes up very quick, comes down very slowly. So yeah, I don't think that has happened. Another issue that was raised was the rise of social media being inflammatory and sensationalism, sensationalising issues, which again I do agree with. All you got to do is someone's got to post that Morrison's run out of toilet roll, and then all hell breaks loose and there's no toilet roll and there's a national shortage. It can start in one place and then go, oh, I've got to get some toilet roll, and off they go. Same with petrol. So yeah, I do agree that, you know, that we are more attuned to everything that's going around, and it is easier to vent your anger and comments, which is a good thing. This is getting us talking. Back in the day when you had to write a letter, I mean, who read it? Who could be bothered to do it? Then they had to actually publish it, so the chances of you actually getting your letter in the press was pretty slim. So nowadays you can go on a forum and you can say what you want, and yeah, I agree, you know, there's good and bad to that. Yeah, so I do agree with that, that we could be said to be sensationalising everything. Now another thing, I kind of an issue I level at myself, is that I don't want to put anyone off caravanning, and I do get a few comments saying, oh, you know, I was thinking about buying a caravan but now I'm not. That's the last thing I want. And I don't want to be a doom and gloom monger, but again, like I said, there's no point in not informing you about it, so you make an informed decision. And as long as I can give you the things that you can look for and you can check and that you can do to buy a caravan and keep an eye on it, then if I give you a problem that is there, I need to also give you the solution as well. There's no point just saying, oh, there's a problem there, and then not coming up with a solution. That's the easy way to just say, oh, there's a problem, and not come up with a solution. So that's what I am trying to do with some more videos coming up as well. I'm having a fair amount of comments on the prices of caravan sites and things going up. But please watch my video on caravan prices, because I think I address it in there. It's not their fault. They're not being greedy. If the caravan sites were being greedy, you get one or two being ridiculous. You wouldn't get the whole industry having to put their prices up. That tells me that everyone is in the same boat and they have to do it. They're not being greedy. They're not profiteering. They have to put their prices up because every single person has had to do the same thing. So if the whole industry has to do it, it's got to be the driving force behind the industry that's forcing them to do it. So please have a think about the comments where, you know, we're talking about greed, and that if we're going to talk about greed, we need to look at the fuel companies, we need to look at the electricity companies, because they're the ones that I think are kind of taking the mickey and charging us too much when they don't really need to. So that's my little 2 penneth on that. And just have a think. You know, I am going to try and talk to a site owner actually to get their take on it. I'm seeing someone next Tuesday, so hopefully he'll have some insight into where this is, and I'll be able to talk about that a little bit more, which I think some people have covered in blogs and things, but I'll see if I can do a video on that. So again, waffled on too much. Now whether I do put this video out, I'm not sure. I'm going to maybe sit on it for a minute and see what it looks like in the edit, and see if I do want to put it out. Now the downside to this is it's going to draw more attention to the video, and and if you do watch it, then then see what you think. And like I said, if it isn't aimed at me, it might be aimed at other vloggers, and hopefully they'll agree with what I've said and back me up. But again, if I'm out of order or if I'm wrong, then fair enough. I suspect I will hear about it. So thank you very much. Do all the normal stuff. Subscribe, like, if I haven't put you off, and then you'll keep an eye out for more videos. and go from there. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.